Hey guys, Mr. Yisley here. We're going to move on to the next part of our notes that we have here. And so the next part of our notes deals all with adding decimals. So numbers with decimal places. And so we're going to talk about how to add those. The method for this that we use is called the column method. And so the column method, I think, really has about 4 steps to it. If they haven't already, which most of the problems you're going to see haven't, we're going to rewrite the problem vertically. And so we're going to rewrite it as a vertical problem. And this is going to help us. Now, one of the big things when you rewrite it vertically is we have to make sure that we line up all decimal points and place values. So we want those decimal points directly in line, and like our place value chart that we had in the last notes, we want the ones in line with the ones, the tens in line with the tens, the tenths in line with the tenths, the hundredths in line with the hundredths, so on and so forth. So we've got to line all of that stuff up. But when we do, that's going to make our life really easy. One thing we might have to do is we might have to add zeros if needed, just to make sure that we are adding what we need to in every single column, and we've got what we need there. And then we're going to follow the addition or subtraction rules, because we can really use this for subtracting as well. But in this case, we're just going to worry about the addition rules. So that could mean we have to carry some numbers across to the next column, all of those types of things. And then in our final answer, we're always going to get rid of unnecessary zeros. And so unnecessary zeros are numbers that are either on the far left or on the far right of the problem. Now, if they're in the middle between numbers, then they are necessary. But if they end on the far right or the far left, they're not necessary, so we would get rid of them. All right, so let's take a look at this, and let's start with example A here. First thing we're going to do is we are going to line up these addition problems vertically, and we're going to make sure our decimal points line up and all place values line up. So my first number is 6.92, and I get to write that one however I want. Now the second number, I need to make sure that I line the decimal place up. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to write my decimal place, and then I'm going to take the next numbers and I'm going to line them up. So 4 is in the ones place, so that's going to go here. The ones in the tens place. The 8 is in the tenths place. So you may see that we have an additional 1 to the left here and an additional 2 in this number to the right. That's okay. Now I'm going to put my plus sign out here, and I am going to draw my line underneath. Now, what I like to do is anywhere in one of the numbers that there isn't a number lined up with it, like underneath this 2, there's nothing here, I just like to add a 0. It just helps me remind me of what's there. Same thing here, above this 1, there's nothing, so I'm going to add a 0. And that just helps me keep things in lines. It's not necessarily you have to do that. If you're on your work and you don't do that, you're not going to be counted off. I just like to do it to remind myself that there is a 0 there and nothing else. All right, and then we're simply going to go through our normal addition problem skills. We're going to start on the far right, and we're going to add down, and then we'll move to the left, to the next spot, and so on and so forth. So 2 plus 0 is 2. 9 plus 8, that's 17. So I'm going to bring this 7 down and carry a 1 up here. Now I've got my decimal point, so I need to write that in. And then I need to add those. So 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 4 is 11. So again, I've got a 1, and I'm going to carry the tens place 1 across. So I've got 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 1 is 2. All right, so final answer here would be 21.72. All right, well, hopefully this is a review for you, so please make sure that you are taking good notes and that you make sure you understand this if it's new information, but this is the method that we're expecting to see on your assignment. So let's try example B together. So again, first thing, let's rewrite the problem vertically, lining up all decimal points and the place values. So I'm going to start with 11.2, and then I'm going to line up my decimal place on my second one. I see that there's a 3 to the left of that in the 1 spot. I see that 2's to the right of the decimal place, and then a 1, and then a 7. All right, now I can add my addition, and I'm going to draw my line. Well, I see above this 7 there's nothing, so I'm going to put a 0. I see above this 1 there's nothing, so I'm going to put a 0. And I see below this 1 there's nothing, so I'm going to put a 0. And again, it's not a requirement to put those zeros, but a lot of times it just helps us make sure that we're lining up everything. So now we're going to do the addition. Always got to start on the right. So 0 plus 7 is 7. 0 plus 1 is 1. 2 plus 2 is 4. Bring down the decimal point. 1 plus 3 is 4. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So final answer is 14.417. And I'm going to circle that. All right, well, I'd encourage you to try example C on your own. So pause the video, try it, and then check your work against mine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and line these up vertically. I notice that there are 3 numbers this time, so I got to make sure I leave enough room for all of that. So first things first, start with my first number, which is 68.9. Then I'm going to do my second number. So decimal place, I see to the right of that decimal place there's a 7 and then a 2, so I'm going to line those up. To the left there's a 4 and a 2. So those are lined up. All right, then I need to do my next one. So again, decimal place, I see to the right there is a 9, a 7, and a 3. I see to the left we just have an 8 in the ones place. So I've got them all lined up now. So again, I'm going to put my plus sign, line underneath, and then I like to get those zeros on there. So I see above the 3 there's nothing for this number, so I'm going to put a 0, and there's nothing for this number, so I'm going to put a 0. Well, I see above this 2 there's nothing, so I'm going to put a 0 there. And then the next one I see that doesn't have anything is the far left. Underneath the 4 there's nothing, so I'm going to put a 0 there. Again, I just want to reiterate, you don't have to put the zeros, but just make sure you're not getting your place values unaligned. They need to be lined up. All right, so again, start from the far right and add down. So 0 plus 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. Next one over, 0 plus 2 is 2, and 2 plus 7 is 9. Right. Next one over, 9 plus 7 is 16, and 16 plus 9, well, that's do a little tricky. That one's 25, so I need to bring the 5, the 1's value down, and then carry that 10's value over here, so there's a 2, and then bring my decimal place down. So now next one, I've got 2 plus 8, which is 10, 10 plus 2, which is 12, and 12 plus 8, which is 20. So I'm going to put the 0 down and carry the 2. So here we go, 2 plus 6 is 8, and 8 plus 4 is 12. So bring the 2, and then there's not a next one, so I can go ahead and write the 1. So final answer there, 120.593. All right, well, hopefully that helps you with the addition. Make sure that you pay attention. If you need to review any of the problems, make sure you do it. Ask any questions that you have.